won by his regiment in their long history. 20 years later, on the Somme and in the mud of Flanders, the story was repeated. And in the Western Desert, and on the beaches of Normandy, 25 years on. Now through the Castle Gate Tower and across the drawbridge comes the sight and sound for which 9,000 visitors from all over the world sitting in the stands here, and most of you sitting at home across the world, have been waiting. The massed pipes and drums. The pipes and drums of Scotland's senior regiment, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, the drums and pipes of the 1st Battalion, the Gordon Highlanders, pipers and drummers from the Royal Air Force, from Victoria, Australia, the Rats of Tobruk Memorial Pipes and Drums. From Delta in Canada's British Columbia, the Delta Police Pipe Band. And they're playing, of course, the Regimental March of the Gordon Highlanders, Cock of the North. The senior drum major is Drum Major Jeff Harper of the Gordons, and this march is called Captain E.B.B. Towers, VC, in honor of an English officer in the Gordon Highlanders, Captain Ernest Beechcroft Beckwith Towers, awarded the Victoria Cross for gallantry in the Boer War. Drummers were established in the Gordon Highlanders before there were battalion pipers. Their seniority is acknowledged by the Gordons' unique use, from all the other Scottish regiments, of the title drums and pipes. You may also note during the evening another unique regimental tradition. The white spats of the Gordons have black buttons in mourning for Sir John Moore, killed at the Battle of Corunna, under whom they served with such distinction in the Peninsular War, winning 8 battle honours. The drummers have marched forward to pay their own tribute, composed by Gordon, Corporal Howard Winton, who's on parade tonight and is about to become a drumming instructor at the Scottish Division's piping and drumming wing at Pennycook outside Edinburgh. And it's called Salute to the Gordons. The massed pipes and drums are now moving into a figure-of-8 formation to the traditional Gordon's March. And when they're in position, you will hear the Strathspey Down a Hassig, the reel, the Devil in the Kitchen, the slow air, Bonnie Loch Leven, or the Herding Song, as it's known by most pipers, and lastly the jig, Cutting Bracken, all arranged by the Director of Army Bagpipe Music, Captain Gavin Stoddart, BEM, Royal Highland Fusiliers, who is also principal of the Army School of Piping here in Edinburgh Castle. Massed pipes and drums reform to the tune Baidan, which is the motto of the Gordon Highlanders. It means, in the old Scots tongue, staying put, standing fast, enduring. A fit motto for a regiment that has endured for 2 centuries of distinguished service to the Crown. most famous battle in which the Gordon Highlanders fought with great distinction was surely the Battle of Waterloo. On the 18th of June, 1815, the Scots Greys, to the left of the Union Brigade, charged against Napoleon's army. Their brother Scots in the Gordons, grasping their stirrups, were hurled headlong into battle. Soldiers of both regiments cheering each other and shouting above the din of battle, "Scotland forever!" Only 3 days earlier, the 4th Duke of Gordon's daughter, the Duchess of Richmond, held a splendid ball in Brussels. The Duke of Wellington was a guest. Many of those who later died just 12 miles away at Waterloo attended and joyously danced the night away. The Duchess had invited some NCOs of her father's regiment, the 92nd Highlanders, to give a display of Highland dancing. The Gordons obliged. They danced the Argyle broadswords, as they do now, over crossed muskets, to one of the Gordons' regimental tunes, the Marquis of Huntly. While the dancing is in progress, a messenger arrives with the news that Napoleon has crossed the border and is marching on Brussels. Soon all the menfolk leave the dance floor, returning with all dispatch to their regiments. Some, according to contemporary accounts, still wearing their dancing pumps. And now the opposing armies are marshalling for the Battle of Waterloo. We shall see that famous charge of the Greys and the Gordons, the capture of the Imperial Eagle Standard of the French 45th Infantry Regiment, the Invincibles, by Sergeant Charles Ewart of the Scots Greys. He was a Dumfriesshire man who was later commissioned, and as Ensign Ewart, his body was brought back to Scotland in 1938, 92 years after his death near Manchester at the age of 77. He's buried here on the castle esplanade, and the standard he captured at Waterloo is on display within the castle. And the music you will hear is by a composer whose work is being highlighted at this year's Edinburgh International Festival. From Beethoven's Battle Symphony, Wellington's Victory. memory of some of the brave Scots lads from the northeast who fought with the Gordons at Waterloo. My great-grandfather, Donald, was one of them. He was 19. And how did you get on with those Scottish tunes? Well, I'll tell you that this one is called the Glendaruel Highlanders, as the massed bands of the Royal Air Force are joined now by two recently created military bands. The Highland Band, formed 4 months ago from musicians from the Black Watch, the Queen's Own Highlanders, the Gordon Highlanders, and the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. And in scarlet tunics, the Band of the Dragoon Guards, formed from musicians formerly in the bands of the Queen's Dragoon Guards, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, the Royal Dragoon Guards, and the 9th, 12th Royal Lancers. And the massed military bands have been joined by the massed pipes and drums. The 1994 Tattoo's Director of Music and Principal Director of Music, the Royal Air Force, Wing Commander Barry Hingley, MBE. In 1990, for the celebration of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother's 90th birthday, Wing Commander Hingley composed a tribute which he called The Sound of the Pipes. Now in August, 4 years on, as the bands are joined by the Kevork Choir under their conductor, Alex Elric, it remains a fitting serenade to that lovely royal lady. Oh, the sound of the pipes as they play for Our Lady recall youthful years in the land of her birth. And even if she wasn't born here, she's certainly a Scot and a Lady of the Thistle through and through. The regimental badge of the Gordon Highlanders is a stag's head. The massed pipes and drums, the massed bands, and the clever choir stand fast as to the tune Holyrood they're joined on the esplanade by the rest of the 800 participants in the tattoo for the finale. The Royal Artillery Motorcycle Display Team, the Tattoo Dance Company, the survivors of Waterloo, and the Guard of Honor is found by the 1st Battalion, the Gordon Highlanders, parading with the regimental color, on which are emblazoned the honorary distinctions of their 2 centuries of regimental life, a life begun in the summer of 1794 and ending in the summer of 1994, soon to become part of the new regimental life of the Highland Regiment. And this remarkable and spectacular bird's-eye view of the castle esplanade comes from our camera 1,500 feet above in the orange airship. When all are in position, you will see that the whole parade takes the shape of the Gordons' stag's head with antlers, for Wing Commander Barry Hingley's moving farewell to the Gordons.
Standards! East!
Gordon Highlanders the world over, a remembrance of Auld Lang Syne.
Hands across, ladies and gentlemen, for another verse.
And a shower of rain never seems to dampen the spirits up here on Castle Rock. It's been a wonderful summer, honest.
All right! Shut! Slow! Arms! Present! Arms!
God save the Queen.
Slow! Arms!
The Evening Hymn. High above the city, a lone figure up on the Half Moon Battery. Lance Corporal Duncan Edwards of the Gordons plays Donald Blue, the duty tune of the Gordon Highlanders for Lights Out.
Scotland the Brave!
The Guard of Honor, found by the 1st Battalion, the Gordon Highlanders, and under the command of Lieutenant Jason Calder, proudly escort their regimental color from the arena. The friends and foes of erstwhile wars take their leave. The dancers live to reel and rant another day and step it lightly down the brae. The flying gunners, the kamikazes of the Kawasaki's, speed away. The massed bands of the Royal Air Force, the Highland Band, the Band of the Dragoon Guards, are at war, but no war to leave us. The castle will be left at the last to the massed pipes and drums. The pipes and drums of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, once the Greys and so closely linked to the Gordons in battles past. The drums and pipes of the 1st Battalion, the Gordon Highlanders, Gordons for a week or two yet. The pipers and drummers of the Royal Air Force, the most welcome pipes and drums from down under and from Western Canada, play the Black Bear, the going home march of all the Scottish regiments. Time we went home too. To the Gordon Highlanders as they march off into history, farewell. To you, wherever you've been watching, thank you for being with us. And from Edinburgh and its military tattoo of 1994, until another year has come and gone, goodbye.